Hello, beautiful people. I wanted to come to you today and talk about what we can do to control our emotions. Nowadays, the world is so crazy, so many things that are going on, a lot of things out of our control. But despite the fact that we can't control everything that's happening in the world, we can control how we react to everything that's happening in the world. And the way that we control that is learning how we control our emotions. Okay, so I made a list of 7 things that we can do to help you control your emotions. The very first thing is yoga. This is it's underestimated. A lot of people think that yoga is more of a religious ritual when it's really not. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. For me, I do yoga all the time, but it's about breathing, it's about exercise, it's about meditation. When I do yoga, I actually take that time to talk to God. That's literally my silent time. That's the time where I'm allowing myself peace and quiet. And it's just something that helps me. It relaxes me and it calms me. So you can look into what type of yoga you want to do. It doesn't have to be any particular one, but really what I do in my yoga is mainly stretching. I stretch my muscles, and that's because when we get stressed, when we get emotional, when we get frustrated, when we get anxious, it actually causes a response in our bodies. Emotions, depending on what those emotions are, if it's anxiety and fear and depression and things like that, that actually activates the sympathetic nervous system and it causes physical symptoms in your body. So, stretching your muscles relaxes those muscles and it eases up your emotions. So, that's one of the things that I do. Another thing that you can do to control your emotions is deep breathing. Now, that can be a part of yoga, but for those who don't want to do yoga, don't believe in the practice of yoga, that's fine. You can still do deep breathing. And really, all it is taking deep breaths, but you really need to learn to practice to hear your deep breaths. And what I mean by that is when you inhale from your stomach, like you literally want to feel that breath that you breathe. You hold it for a few seconds, but the biggest form of relief is going to be for you when you exhale. When you let that breath go, it's almost as if you're letting go of the worries, you're letting go of the problems, because at the end of the day, you can't control everything that happens. So, the way that I look at it is, and depending on your background, your beliefs, I look at it as even though I can't control everything, God controls everything. And I know that God loves me. I know that He has me. I know that He has my best interest at heart. And so, if God's plans are for me and not against me, to prosper me and not to harm me, then I can release all of my worries and fears to God. So, I do that through deep breathing. That's one of the other things that I do. Um, Another practical thing that you can do to control your emotions is self reflect. Now, when I say self reflect, I mean a lot of times we get angry because someone's done something to us, like someone cut us off in traffic, and we're upset about that. But think about the other person. I know that's difficult to do in the moment, but sometimes we have to think, did I do something I wasn't paying attention to make that person cut me off? Did I say something to that person to make them curse me out? Did I do something to make someone hurt me? And it's not about self blame, but it's about not allowing yourself to become the victim. There are many situations and circumstances in our lives to where we have been victimized, but I think a lot of times we victimize ourselves when we're really not victims. We have to start to understand that every action deserves a reaction. And there's sometimes we do things that we don't even know we're doing, and it causes someone to react in a certain way. So you can control your anger by just self reflecting. That's just one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do to help control your emotions is take a walk. If you get that angry and that frustrated with someone to where you're raising your voice, you're getting irritated, your blood pressure is going up, you're starting to sweat, you're getting anxious, sometimes it's okay to walk away from the situation. You don't have to stay in a situation where you feel like your last recourse is to either physically hurt someone or to scream at someone or to disrespect for someone. Just literally walk away. That's what you do. You walk away and you take a walk. When you take a walk, you calm down, you start thinking, it's going to be okay. This is not the end of the world. I'm not going to allow this situation to upset me. I'm not going to allow this situation to define me. I'm going to take a few deep breaths, and then I'm just going to go back when I'm ready to have a calm conversation. So sometimes you have to walk away, and that's okay. So another thing that you can do is pray before you speak. Now, this is big for me, and I'm going to give you an example of how I use this. I use this at work. Okay, there's a lot of times that someone may frustrate me at work, or I may have my own strong opinions about someone or something that someone did at work. And I think that selfishness, that ego that's inside everybody, it makes you just want to go and tell somebody off and tell them exactly what you think. Well, that's not right. You're supposed to do it this way. So what I've learned to do before I go into a big meeting, before I go and have a conversation with a coworker or one of my employees that I feel is going to be a tense conversation, I pray. I just ask God to give me the words to speak, to allow me to be used for good and not for bad, and just to allow me to be able to bring peace into the conversation. You know, it's never a goal to bring conflict. Sometimes people bring conflict to you, but you always want to de-escalate as much as you can. So before I'm having a really big conversation or a conversation that I feel is going to be stressful, I just pray before I have that conversation. Another thing that you can do is change your perspective. I think one of the biggest things that we miss out on is changing how we see things. I heard someone say before, it's hard to be angry when you're grateful. And if you start looking at things glass half full instead of glass half empty, I think things are always less stressful for you. And it controls your emotions, because if you think about it, we're mainly trying to avoid people that complain all the time. I know I don't like to be around people that's always negative, that's always complaining. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, I got this problem, I got that problem. It's fine for people to have problems, and it's fine for us to vent. That's even healthy. But you don't wallow in that. You don't stay in that place. You can be upset, you can be frustrated, you can have that confidant that you trust and that you respect, that you can talk to. But it's not like every single time you talk, you're weighing that person down with all of your problems and your troubles and the weights of the world, like nothing goes right for you. If you start making a gratitude journal and writing things down that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful that my kids are healthy. I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for my car to get me back and forth to work. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that I'm able to make YouTube videos. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can write down that we're grateful for. And I think the more that you lead with gratitude, the less likely you are to be tied down by negative emotions. So that's a really big one. It does a lot for me. Anytime I find myself getting riled up or frustrated, I try to automatically switch to perspective. You know, like say for instance, if I didn't get a particular job that I was trying to get, and I'm upset because I didn't get that job. Instead of me thinking, well, I'm qualified, why did this person get it? I should have got it. I think, you know what? I'm grateful that this is actually teaching me something, because now I know what I can do better the next time. Or I look at it like, well, maybe that job wasn't for me because God has something else for me. So instead of looking at it in a bad way, you look at it like, you know what? God is watching. He knows what's going on. If he didn't allow me to get that job, it's probably because that's not where he wanted me to be. So again, you change your perspective, and that causes you to go into a moment of worship and praise. Well, thank you, Lord, that I didn't get that job, because that means you have something better for me. Something could have been harmful in that position that you didn't want me around. So you have to change your perspective. And the last thing that I'm going to say that is probably the biggest thing on this list that I feel like we all need to do to help control our emotions is give grace. We all need grace. We need to give everyone grace. I mean, we are literally trying to do our best every single day. Everyone is struggling with something. Everyone has problems. Everyone is going through so many psychological issues nowadays. It's amazing. And so I think you need to start thinking, well, what is this person going through? For them to be this angry, for them to be this emotional, what's going on with them? You know what I'm saying? Give grace. And I look at it like, I know I'm nowhere near perfect. I make mistakes all the time. And when I mess up, I want someone to give me grace. So how can I expect grace if I never give it? You know? So those are just some quick things that I'm hoping can help you. Like I said, we're all going through different times right now. And there's a lot of people out there that's hurting. There's a lot of people out there that need to find ways that they can actually help improve their situation. And whether those emotions that you're dealing with is anxiety, depression, stress, anger, rage, guilt, blame, there's so many different emotions. We have to learn to take control of our emotions and actually realize that our emotions are there to help us, not to hurt us. So think about that. If they're really there to help us and not hurt us, how can we use our emotions for our benefit? When we start to get angry, how about we start to think, why am I getting angry? Well, I'm getting angry because I didn't eat. Why didn't I eat? Well, I didn't eat because I didn't have time. Why didn't I have time? Well, I didn't have time because I didn't wake up early enough. Why didn't I wake up early enough? Because I went to sleep too late. Why did I go to sleep too late? You see where I'm going? Eventually you get to a point of self-reflection where you start to think, it's not my husband's fault. It's not my kid's fault. It's not my boss's fault. And it's not necessarily my fault. Maybe it's there to teach me that I need to plan better how to manage my time. Maybe it's there to teach me that I need to start prioritizing what's really important for me. If I know that if I go too long without eating, I'll get a migraine, then I need to prioritize. I don't want to have a migraine. Nobody wants a migraine. So that means I need to make sure I eat. So maybe that means I need to bring my lunch with me. I don't care if I need to set an alarm in my phone to say, okay, Angela, you need to eat. But the point of it is, our emotions are there to guide us, to direct us, to help us. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. I hope that it gives you some tips. I hope that you use some of those. Let me know what you think about these things, if you've ever used any of these tips. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that. I'll see you later.